You ready?
Yes, I is.
All right. You know we're going to talk about all the things. I hope you're good.
I is.
Guys, we're going to talk about from panic to peace. Our emergency room visit in Panama. And when I say our, you already know who we're talking about. Y'all stay tuned. It's Behind Closed Doors with the Brookses. We'll be back right after this. And we're back. Hey guys, listen, excited about being back with you guys for another edition of Behind Closed Doors with the Brookses. I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. and to my left is the ailing trying to get herself back on track,
Sheri A. Brooks Jr. And yeah, it's good to be here. Glad to be here with you guys today. It has been a journey the last couple of weeks. Been a little challenging.
Yeah, and I wanted to kind of, if you guys can go ahead and get started, we got some tech things we want to work through. If you are here for the very first time, put first time in the chat or put me in the chat. If this is a reoccurring type thing, you're always tuned in on Thursday, put me in the chat. I just want to try and get the comments going so that we can perhaps show them on screen, want to shout some people out. We also are waiting for none other than, and I almost don't want to say it on the front end, but we have a special guest that if he can shake loose and get out of a meeting, he's going to come and show up and just jump in the comments and help us do what needs to be done. But Sheri, we're here.
Yeah, so I guess let's start from the beginning. So one of the biggest things for me as a, hold on, let me take this out of my ear because I'm hearing myself twice. One of the biggest concerns oftentimes individuals have when looking to move abroad is healthcare. You want to know how the healthcare works, what the quality of healthcare is, and where to go. And although we've been here for 2 years, we've gotten a lot of things in place. We have a local health insurance plan. We both are veterans, so we have limited benefits when it comes to that here. We found out where we can go to get benefits there. And have local clinics in our neighborhood. But when a crisis occurred, there was a little panic. And what I mean by that is, so although I am a disabled veteran, I have medical coverage here for anything related to my service-connected disability. We have local health insurance here, but unfortunately, we had not visited that hospital yet. We kept putting it off, saying we're going to go do a walkthrough, do a visit. And I've been, reaching out to doctors, trying to set up appointments, but I have not met with any of the doctors in that plan as of yet. So, when an emergency happens, for me, my comfort level is I want to go where I know I'm going to get good care, where I know somebody, where, I'm more familiar. And so there are a few hospitals that we had done walkthroughs through, had met staff there, and I felt more comfortable going to one of those hospitals. One in particular was Pacifica Salud, which just by chance, and they just recently announced this, they started accepting Medicare Advantage for emergencies. So if you are a U.S. citizen and you have Medicare Advantage and you have the right Medicare Advantage, and not all Medicare Advantages include international coverage, so you need to verify that your plan does in fact provide international emergency coverage. I had already gone through, took my card, had them check everything. So I knew that I was already in the system and covered there. And so that's where we went to go to the emergency room. So when we say the title From Panic to Peace, our emergency room visit in Panama, the panic was me figuring out, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? Who am I going to be seen by? Although, like I said, and I had done a lot of research. I had already met other doctors. I have clinics in my area I could go to. But this was something that I knew was a step above me just going to a clinic. And just to recap real quickly what happened, Panama has a culture of protests, and not that the protests are violent, but there are times when the police are trying to disperse the protesters with tear gas. We happened to be in an Uber car that drove down the road, and the police were basically shooting tear gas over our car across the street. I have a history of asthma, but it's not normal. It's not seasonal asthma. It's not asthma that has to be maintained. It's usually triggered by toxins. So like strong cleaning supplies, my time in the military going through the gas chamber, things like that. Very poor air quality will trigger my asthma. And so when we got home, I started experiencing some asthmatic symptoms, took an inhaler that I had at home, which happened to be 2 years old, which shows you how infrequently my asthma flares up. Oops, sorry. But I took that, but a day, I guess in about 48 hours, like, I'm not getting any better. The pressure in my chest is getting worse. I'm having more and more shortness of breath, and I'm just not feeling right. Something's not right. So at that point, that's where, kind of the panic was like, okay, well, what do I do? Because I was like, I could go to the clinic down the street, but if this is something more than that, they're going to wind up sending me to a hospital. I don't know what hospital they're going to send me to. Let me go where I know I can get coverage. I know is an excellent hospital, because they are associated with Johns Hopkins in the United States, which, us being from the DC, Maryland area, we're very familiar with that hospital, and they're affiliated with them. Also, like I said, we knew the staff there at the hospital. We know the international client relations specialist, Mike Kelly, there. We met several of the admission staff, Paola, and the team. And so we felt comfortable going there. So we contacted them, said, hey, this is the situation. Should I come to the emergency room? They was like, yes, come to the emergency room. We'll make sure to let them know you're coming, and everything will be set. So did you want to add anything before I keep going?
Yeah, just real quick, I want to add an administrative note just really quickly. If you guys, and it looks like there are about 16 of you guys that are here live on the chat, just from a tech standpoint, can you at least say, hey, hi, hola, como está? How are you guys doing? Buenas tardes, whatever the thing is, buenas noches, whatever time it is in your section of the world. Put something in the chat. I'm just curious if we can see you. Shout out to Love and Protected for being there. And I just also want to say that here, hopefully, we're going to get a guest to be able to chime in. If you have questions relative to healthcare in the country of Panama, particularly, we certainly want you to pose those questions live here. Sheri and I are committed to helping you guys understand a little bit about sort of the behind the scenes of our journey. As we are coming up on 2 years in June as being expats and living abroad. So we'll be celebrating our second paniversary is what we like to affectionately call it. But if you're here live, and just appreciate you just chiming in just on some level, just so that we can make sure that the chats are working properly and everything. I'm using a new system, just trying to get used to some new things. So with that being said, Sheri's here to kind of talk to you guys about our journey a couple of weeks ago, where she basically had an asthma attack to some degree. It was an irritation and some things going on relative to her asthma because of the protests that we had driven through relative to here in Panama. And if you know anything about Panama, you'll understand about protest culture. It's not violent, but it can get very, very hectic, I should say, because, with tear gas flying around and people trying to disperse because, maybe they're blocking an intersection. It caught her slipping,
Right.
to say the least. And so, although she is much better, she's not 100%. And as a matter of fact, we got an appointment now to go over and kind of go through the process of registering. But Sheri, I want to get into some nuts and bolts. And hey, Sharon, and I just want to just really quickly before we get into that, I just want to make sure that these things work. Looks like, okay, Jeannie out the bottle. Jeannie's out the bottle. Hola, Brooks. Glad to see you guys. Appreciate you guys. Good to see our friend Sharon Porter. How's your husband? It's been a long time and super excited. Yes, 2 years in a row, and we're super excited about it. Fab and Good Vibes just became a member. Thank you.
Welcome.
We appreciate that. I just wanted to certainly also let everybody know that if you want to become a day one member, check out the description and it'll give you some information on how you can get access to not only to chat directly with us offline, but also when we're doing meetups and things like that, we like to alert you guys of that effect. And quite frankly, it's a community that we're building. We call them our day ones, and people, many of you guys are looking at some point maybe relocating and maybe specifically to Panama, which brings us to our conversation today, Sheri, from panic to peace, our emergency room visit here in Panama. Let's talk a little bit about sort of if you had to compare an emergency room visit here at Pacifica Salud specifically relative to an emergency room visit in the States. Give people a sort of a walkthrough on what they could particularly anticipate.
So, and I'm going to speak about Pacifica Salud because that's the only emergency room that I've been through. But the level of care there was exceptional. From the time we got there, arrived, checked in, probably within 15 minutes, I was in the back and being triaged. That took about 5-10 minutes. Then they took me straight back to a room. Within 5 minutes of me being in the room, the doctor actually came into the room to ask me what was going on. Also, another piece I'll just add, along with this flaring up my asthma, I suffer from panic attacks and anxiety. And so this whole situation had also exacerbated that. So I was having panic attacks along with the asthma symptoms. So the doctor came in, basically asked me everything that was going on, and basically she gave me a game plan. She said, okay, so you're going to be in here for about 2 hours. In that time, we're going to come hook you up to an IV. We're going to take some blood to run some blood work. We're going to give you some breathing treatments to help with your asthmatic symptoms. I mean, she did a physical check. She said she could hear some rattling in my lungs. They took me to get an x-ray done. All of this was done in 2 hours. I got the results back within a 2 hour time. She also told me when she came in the initial time, that if within 2 hours I was not feeling better, then they would keep me for observation to try to figure out what else was going on. So within that 2 hours, like I said, they were able to run all of the tests. She came back. I think she came back in the room probably like 3 times before they got everything back, just to check on me. The doctor came back to check on me to make sure how I was doing, how I was feeling, how the breathing treatments were going, how I was feeling. I was starting to feel better. And at the end of those 2 hours, she went over all of the results with me. She was able to see that there was inflammation in my lungs. Looked like I may have developed some type of infection in my lungs that could have been caused from the tear gas. The exposure to the tear gas. She also gave me something for the pain because I was having chest pains as well. They did an EKG as well to make sure there was nothing going on with my heart. My blood pressure was slightly elevated, but they were like, with me being in pain and everything, that could have been that. And so they basically gave me a regimen of medications to take. She was like, I feel, you're feeling better. And she asked, it was funny because she actually asked me like 3 times. She was like, are you sure you're feeling better? I was like, yeah, I feel a little better. No. Do you feel better? Are you well enough to go home? I was like, yeah, I'm good. No. Are you sure you're ready to go home? And I'm like, okay, are y'all trying to keep me? But it was like, she was really concerned because she was like, if you're not good, if you don't feel good, we're going to keep you. we're not going to just push you out the door, which is not normal in the States at all, because they're like, okay, you good, here, go on about your way. So they gave me a regimen of medications. I was able to get everything filled there at the pharmacy in the hospital. Now, this is the other thing. So although I have Medicare Advantage, which covered for my emergency room visit, it did not cover for the medications. So I had to pay out of pocket for the medications. And so I probably had like 6 different medications. I had to get a nebulizer machine because I had to do breathing treatments at home for the next 3 days, 4 times a day. So between the machine, the medication for the nebulizer treatment, an inhaler, antibiotic, some pain medicine, it was like 4 or 5 different things. It was very thorough. All of that was like $95 for all of that. And so I paid out of pocket for that, and then came home. They told me take it easy for the next couple of days. She was like, you need to rest for the next 2 or 3 days, and do your breathing treatments, and I did that. And so the biggest thing for me that I really wanted to talk about, when we talk about from panic to peace to my emergency room visit, number one, the care was exceptional. I can't compare it to, and I've been to some of the, unfortunately, many of the best hospitals in the United States, and have been through the emergency rooms for various reasons. Received good care. I can't say it was as expeditious. It wasn't as personal as what I received here, and definitely time-wise, I've never been in and out of an emergency room, been treated and everything within 2 hours. I don't think I've ever had that experience. Also, she gave me her personal cell phone number, was like, if you have any issues, contact me. Let me know if you have any problems. Reach out to me if I need to change the medication, if you need to come back, whatever. And so she exchanged that information for me. But the thing I really, really wanted to stress is that when relocating, and this is something we don't even think about in the United States, because you're used to one hospital system from state to state, they all pretty much run the same. When you're in another country, things operate very differently, and you have to take the time to familiarize yourself. And I will say that's one of my biggest regrets, is that I did not do a drill, in a sense, of what it would look like going to an emergency room, being able to go and visit and find out, okay, what are the steps? What are the check-in procedures? If something happened, what are the steps to do that? What insurances are covered? What are not covered at which particular hospitals? And so that morning, the panic before us going to the emergency room was me calling around. Now, for me, luckily, I have contacts. My dear friend Mike, my brother, Mike Kelly, works in the hospital. He's been in the medical field here in Panama for over 15 years. He knows the ins and outs of the system. I was able to reach out to him directly. Not everybody is going to have access to somebody that you can do that. And so for me, that gave...
When you get a chance,
yeah. That gave me a sense of peace, because I was able to call him and talk through what should I do, where should I do. So that's my biggest regret, is that I didn't personally do that on my own first.
Yeah, and Sheri, I'm going to give you some time to kind of unpack why that's so important. I just want to take a quick station break and just let everybody know, welcome to Behind Closed Doors with the Brookses. I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. For those that don't know us, this is my wife, Sheri A. Brooks Jr. What is our claim to fame? We are 2 entrepreneurs who built a now really, really successful personal and professional development brand, Glenn P. Brooks Jr. LLC. We recently launched a nonprofit arm of that called the We All Need Some Help Foundation, of which we host an event every Saturday morning called Breakfast and the Word, where we get a chance to share the Word of God with expats and people who are abroad who may feel disconnected from the body of Christ because of culture or maybe because of geography. We also are looking to do some things to help uplift our local community here. And what we do here on Behind Closed Doors is all about bringing you guys into our world, particularly if you are looking at moving abroad. And I want to go back to something you said, babe, and then we're going to go ahead and answer some questions. Y'all make sure you put your questions in the comment. Do me a favor, and I'm working out some tech stuff. If it's a question, put a Q before you respond. If it's just a comment, you can just do that regular, but that way I can prioritize the questions because we want to get to that. But babe, I want you to go back kind of really quickly. I remember, when we were moving or thinking about moving here, there was a ton of research that you were doing relative to all of these different things. And it wasn't probably until we got to the country did we recognize the importance of boots on the ground and putting your eyes, hands on things, right? And being able to walk through a process before you needed to. Two things I want y'all to remember. When you move to Panama, this is a Spanish-speaking country, right? And although in the city, there's a ton of bilingual situations that you'll run into, you cannot count on that. Right. And if you don't know the language fluently when it comes to medical care, now you may find yourself in an emergency situation trying to communicate, of which there is a cultural disconnect, a lost in translation. And so what makes it super easy on the front end is to walk through that drill before you need to do it. And I think that that's what you were expressing when you said it's kind of a regret where you didn't do that across the board. You did it here and there, but we really, you get caught up, and before you know it, you got this going on, that going on, and you just don't get to it. And if there's a medical emergency, that's where the panic sets in. Yes. It's like, oh my God, what do I do? So for example, I never thought about it. Like, where do you go if it's an emergency? Like, can you just call 911 on WhatsApp in the country that you're in?
No.
Not necessarily. Right? Because 911 is an American thing, right? Now, there are emergency numbers that you can call relative to your country. And guys, by the way, if you're in Panama and you know some things that maybe we're not sharing, please add it to the comments. We certainly would love it because our experiences aren't the end all be all. It's just our perspective. But we want to take a few questions. It's good to see some of you guys popping in the room. Sheri, when I can, I want to be able to go to, and I want to facilitate that.
Right. So real quick before we go to the questions, in regard to 911, there is a 911 number here. Now, the thing is, 911, you may not get an English speaking person on the other line of the call. Many of the hospitals have their own ambulance service number that you can call for that particular hospital. They also have private ambulance services that you can pay for here. It's a nominal fee that you pay, a monthly fee, so that if you ever need an ambulance, you would call them. They would come pick you up and they could take you wherever you want to go. So there are ways to get around it, but those are things you need to know. It's not as simple as just calling 911 in the States. Hey, this is where I am. Come get me and come take me. So it's a little more complicated than that. So if
let me do this, babe. I want to kind of go by the system because I'm testing some things out. So if you would allow me to, I want to share from our favorites list. I'm creating a favorites list, guys, of prioritizing some questions. So the first question, and we're going to pop it on the screen for everybody to be able to see, was asked by Jeannie's Out the Bottle. Sheri, did you have to pay any money up front even though you had Medicare Advantage? Can you answer that and speak to that, babe?
So no, I did not have to pay any money up front, but disclaimer, when you go to Pacifica Salud, which is the only hospital currently in Panama City that direct bills for Medicare, they do have to confirm and verify your benefits. If it takes them an hour or so to verify your benefits, they may ask you to pay a deposit so that they can get you back to be seen versus you waiting for the verification. What will happen in that case is that, they would charge it on your card, whatever that amount is, and then once they get it verified, they're going to credit it back to your card. They're not going to keep the money and you don't get it back. So it's advantageous if you are here in the city and you know what hospitals you think you're going to want to go to, go and get pre-registered with them so they have most of your information in the system. Although I had already pre-registered there at the hospital, they still had to do a final verification to ensure that Medicare was good for my Medicare Advantage. Luckily for me, it only took them about 10 minutes to do it. But they did at one point, they did come out and they were like, if we can't get it verified, we're going to need you to do a deposit. I had a credit card. I was like, fine. I was like, but I'm already in the system. They was like, well, let me just go double check. They checked and they were like, okay, you're good. And I didn't have to pay anything out of pocket. So for the actual emergency room visit, no, I didn't have to pay anything out of pocket in that case.
All right, cool. And I want to kind of follow up. Fab and Good Vibes has another question. I appreciate you guys asking. And by the way, we're here. We can't answer everything. Obviously, we don't know everything. But what we can answer, we're going to be really transparent about. And also, what we really want to do is be able to help to connect you to people in our network who can get you the specific answer, because this is kind of what they do for a living. And so we're just merely sharing our experiences. Obviously, they vary from person to person, from hospital to hospital. And here's the other thing I want to hope that you keep in mind. Panama is fluid.
Yes.
When it comes to the government, when it comes to systems and things like that, like things are always moving. And so what's true today may not be true next week. And in one sense, it may have changed. So I just want you guys to understand that that's really, really important. So Sheri, the question, the follow-up is, Ms. Sheri, were you employed during your hospital visit?
So fortunately for me, I'm retired in the sense that I don't have and I am not employed here in Panama. We run our own business. There is a U.S.-based business, which we do. We have an online business. And so from that perspective, no, I was not employed. I didn't have to take time off. I'm kind of my own boss. So
listen, I try to remind her she likes to be retired. I like to think we're semi-retired. Because we do work. It's just not on the economy.
I'm semi-retired. And so, but yeah, I didn't have to call in work and take off or anything like that.
Yeah. The follow-up to that, the reason why I ask is because sometimes employers can get real ugly when it comes to their employees' health and mental care. No, all facts, all facts.
And that's the same in the States as it can be here. I think that that's just something when you work for somebody else, those are things you have to deal with. Here in Panama, I will say they are not as compassionate when it comes to their employees calling off or saying they're sick or whatever. And so it can be a little more difficult for them here to get that time, to take that time off. Just FYI, most Panamanians work 6 days a week. That is the normal work schedule, is that they work 6 days a week. And so you have 1 day off a week. And so they don't get a lot of personal leave time and things like that, like we do in the States. So that can be somewhat of a challenge if you are employed here in Panama.
Listen, guys, again, if you are, ready to ask questions, I just got the notice that, and Mike, do me a favor, if you can, just chime in on the chat on YouTube so I can post it. Our resident professional happens to be a personal friend, Mike Kelly, and we'll give you his title. He's the guy, and his team is who you would coordinate with if you're ever going to go to Pacifica Salud, particularly as an expat, as a veteran. It's not a VA hospital, but they have a ton of veteran-friendly benefits and things that make sense for you. We're going to go to another question, and so Mike is here to be able to answer those questions. I appreciate that, and just here we go, Sheri. One more. Rose is asking this question: is there someone I can talk to when I come there in April that I can inquire about which federal Medicare Advantage program, let's put that back up, works with hospitals there? Did you have a translator on staff? You want to answer that, babe?
Yes, I would suggest, and I don't know if Mike can chime in, but definitely Pacifica Salud. They have English-speaking staff. They can help you navigate what insurances they do cover. They can verify whether the Medicare Advantage plan that you have is the one that is accepted. That you do have the proper plan for international coverage, and they can let you know if you need to change your plan, what it is. I also noticed someone else had posted a similar question. They were saying they had Blue Cross, a Medicare with Blue Cross supplement. They will be able to let you know as well whether or not that is accepted. And so I would speak to Mike is the international client relations specialist at Pacifica Salud, he deals with everything with international clients, with insurances, helping you to ensure you have the right type of insurance, what's covered, what's not covered, and him and his staff do speak English, and they'd be able to assist you with that. And you would just go to the hospital and go to the International Client Relations Office.
These are some really good questions, and they're coming in kind of rapidly. So what I'm going to do, Sheri, just so that you understand, I'm going to prioritize the questions and put them in my favorites, post them here so that the audience can see the question as well, and you don't have to be overwhelmed with trying to read them and keep up with all. Okay. I need you to be present with answer these questions because, quite frankly, not only is this Sheri's experience, but also she's our resident researcher. So Sheri is the one that, quite frankly, when it comes to the need to know stuff, this is your girl, and that's one of the reasons why my job is to hopefully protect her space and make sure she's always good, because I promise you, listen, help me. We all need some help. You understand me? No, before we go to more questions, I do want to post that Mike Kelly is here. Hi, this is Mike Kelly. He works at Pacifica Salud Hospital and would be happy to answer any questions. And so I want you guys to do me a favor. Go ahead and follow VIP Relocation Tours Panama. Make sure that you connect with Mike. His staff is freaking amazing. They're all bilingual. They are the sweetest people on the planet. And when you're sitting with them, they make you feel like that no one else has an appointment. Mm-hmm. It really, and I think that's the really biggest difference, babe, where here, the way the healthcare system works, particularly in the private healthcare industry here, it's extremely personalized. Would you say?
Yes, definitely. It's definitely very personalized.
All right, we got another question from Jeannie out the bottle. I have Champ VA, widow or deceased. Widow of deceased, 100% disabled vet. Let's put that back. We're going to extend that a little bit more. Will all of my medical care be covered? Will I have to pay out of pocket first, then file my claim with VA? You want to take that? And Mike, by the way, we can pose some of this stuff to you, and if Sheri speaks or misspeaks, right, or there's some things that you need to add to it, put that in the chat, bro, and we appreciate you. Come on back.
So currently at this particular time, I do not think that there are any facilities here in Panama that accept Champ VA. When I say accept Champ VA, that direct bill Champ VA. You can use your Champ VA, but you would have to submit reimbursements. I do know that Pacifica Salud is one of the hospitals that is working with the VA to try to get the ability to direct bill, but that has not been approved as of yet. And so there are several hospitals here in the city that you can use your Champ VA, but you will have to pay out of pocket and then submit a reimbursement to get reimbursed for that medical care.
I hope that makes sense, Jeannie out the bottle. And by the way, if y'all don't have a problem with it, I sure would like to know your government name, because it is a lot for me to keep up with some of these handles. I think that when people created the stuff, Sheri, they was just like feeling super creative that day. All so right. Maybe your name is Jeannie, and maybe that's why you call yourself. That would be a super dope reason to do that. I love it. Why am I thinking about I Dream of Jeannie? Mm-hmm. And you definitely telling my age. But yeah, real quick, I don't know if we went to T. McBride. Did we answer T's question here?
Well, go to Mike first. He responded.
Okay, give me a second. Yeah. So let's go here. So this is a response directly from Mike Kelly. He says, we will soon be direct billing Champ VA. For now, it's done by reimbursement. So there you go.
They're working on it. Yeah, so they're working on it, and hopefully very soon. And he will announce it. We'll let you know once it's approved, so you guys will know when you can.
Absolutely. I want to go back and just make sure, maybe we answer this. I just want to make sure. T. McBride asked, how can you get medication refills using the FMP program? We didn't ask that. Or is that something that's available? Great question, T. Mac.
So with Pacifica Salud, I know they do direct bill for FMP and for Medicare Advantage plans. And if you get your prescriptions filled there, they are covered in full. For FMP prescriptions. So not Medicare Advantage prescriptions, but any FMP. Like I went to go see my FMP doctor yesterday, day before yesterday, and I had to get some medications filled for my service-connected disability, and I did not have to pay out of pocket at all for my FMP medications. As long as your doctor is an FMP approved doctor, and they send you to a pharmacy that accepts FMP, and there are several places that you can get your FMP medications filled without you having to pay out of pocket.
Yeah, I love it. And again, these are some really great questions. Hey, GB, it's good to have you in the building. Great to have you. Great afternoon for those, or great, depending on where you are in the world. It's still morning for us. We're on Eastern Standard Time. For the East Coast, you guys are on Eastern Daylight Time.
You're welcome, T.
And so, it is absolutely. And T. McBride, T. Mac, T. Mac is a day one. So I just want to shout out our day ones. You understand me? Because I promise y'all hold us down. For those of you guys, selfish plug, if you want to become a day one member, this is where you can get some direct ask. We have a WhatsApp chat that's exclusive for the day one members, where you can ask us random questions, because many of you guys are not only enthusiasts of our show, but you're really an enthusiast about moving abroad, and or you've done that and you need some help. I think the biggest challenge for most people who are thinking about moving abroad, Sheri, is developing the community that it takes to hold you down. And when I say hold you down, it's in these little kind of nuanced areas. The question becomes, is anybody looking for you? See, you can go get off the grid if you want to. And I'm not mad at you. God bless your heart. But my question becomes, when something goes left, because you're a human being and at some point it will, who's looking for you? I want you to let that breathe. Think about that. Who is in your life? What community are you a part of where people are looking for you to show up somewhere at some point? There are people in our community we check in on a regular basis. We're forever in connection with one another. This Saturday, we have what we call First Saturdays. It's a gospel brunch that we do at Mika's Cafe in Santa Fe. That's a way that we check in with each other, find out what's going on. If I'm finding out that somebody has some ongoing health challenges, at that point I'm picking up the phone and saying, hey Mike, can you talk to this person, or let me give you Mike's number. Like, it works like that. And I think that unfortunately what most people do, Sheri, they bring them United States in that case, or expat way, wherever you came from, you bring that with you. And I'm telling you, things work very, very differently here. You got anything else?
I'm trying to see.
All right, cool. I think we got another question really quickly. Let me go to Rose. Mike, I am doing a tour in April. Can I call you when I get there? I don't have Medicare Advantage now until open season later this year. And let me go back to that again and put that back up. And later this year, I currently have regular Medicare Blue Cross Part 1. And so, Mike, if you're in the chat, let her know if she can call you and where she can get in touch with you. Apparently, she's going to be here in April anyway. Maybe you can schedule some time to either meet with her or meet with somebody on your team and help her get her questions. And then she says, if I have an emergency with Medicare regular with Blue Cross, this is a question, Sheri, supplement, can an emergency help me during a visit?
So, and that was Rose. Medicare, regular Medicare does not include its international coverage. So having regular Medicare with the Blue Cross supplement is not the same as Medicare Advantage. You would need to check with your provider. You need to have Medicare Advantage that includes international emergency coverage. And so a lot of people have that misunderstanding that just because, I have Medicare, that it will cover that, but it has to be Medicare Advantage. And you could, like Mike said, you can register with him. You can reach out to him. If you're comfortable, you can get his WhatsApp. You could send him your card by WhatsApp, which is a secure platform, and he can verify for you with your card whether or not you have the right type of coverage, so you can make whatever changes you need to make before you actually arrive in Panama. Or you can schedule to meet with him, when you do get here in Panama, meet with him or his staff, and they can verify whether or not you have the right coverage.
Yeah, and that's really important. And by the way, Mike just posted, yes, definitely definitely you can get with him. And, one of the things that we realize, y'all, is that a lot of the challenges that you guys are having can be mitigated if you have the right connections and community, so that you don't find yourself in that space where you don't know what you don't know, right? So one of the things that we are sort of, I think Sheri and I probably have mastered this over the last 26 years in a row of being married, is asking the questions that we need to know the answers to before we need to know the answers. And the way we do that is literally by running scenarios. And so whether it's building our company, whether it's building our communities, whether it is servicing and serving our loved ones, like we often try to put ourselves in positions. If it can go wrong, what would it and what would that look like? And it doesn't mean you get all the answers, but what it does mean, Sheri, is that it'll mitigate a lot of that, and especially when you're moving abroad, because the last thing you need is to have stuff jump up and now you are literally clueless as to what to do next. We got a couple more questions coming through. GB said, hello, Glenn and Sheri, listening from Maryland. Thank you for the healthcare information. Shout out to Maryland. Go Terps. What? Let's get it. I absolutely love it. Mike just put in the chat, outside of the United States. Let's go back to the beginning of that statement that Mike made. Medicare Advantage on covered medical care or medical emergencies. Outside of the United States. Babe, did you clarify that already?
Yes, and it's just to reiterate that again, Medicaid Advantage will only covered for emergency outside the United States. And so it has to be a true emergency. You're going to the emergency room for an emergency visit, and it will cover it if you have Medicare Advantage. And that's the key. It has to be the Medicaid Advantage, and it has to be the right Medicaid Advantage, because there are several Medicaid Advantage plans that do not cover international emergencies. And so you just want to verify that with you can contact your insurance to verify it, but I would also then verify it with the hospitals here to ensure that they do accept it.
Just so that you know, Omar said that he's en route.
I got you.
How's your energy level?
I'm okay.
You good? Okay, cool. You want to take a few more questions?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Mm-hmm. All right, T just decided she want to post it. I registered through the VA online for FMP. Do I still need to register at Pacifica Salud Hospital as well?
Okay, so when you register as a disabled veteran with the VA to get your FMP letter, that letter, you have to take that to whatever facilities you're going to use it at to register at that facility. So it's best to do it in advance so you don't have to wait until you need to be seen. And all you're doing is taking that letter, they put it in the system, they're going to take a copy of your VA ID, a copy of that letter, they'll put it in the system. That way they'll know what your service-connected conditions are, so whenever you need to be seen, you're already in the system. So, but the first step is you have to get that FMP letter from the VA. So if you are a disabled veteran that has service-connected disabilities and you're living out of the country or you're going to be traveling out of the country, you want to get your FMP letter from the VA. And there's a website you can do it. You can go online and do it, get that. Then once you have that letter, keep that letter, and you want to take it with you to the various hospitals. I've registered, I think, at every hospital here in Panama City for FMP, so that when and if they accept FMP, I'm in their system. So that if I ever have to go to be seen for anything related to my service-connected disability, I can go anywhere to get treatment.
Yeah, Mike is chiming in on some things I think is relative to that, Sheri, and I just want to make sure that we got clarity. We don't want people confused at all. But he says you don't have to be a resident to register with us at the hospital. So you don't have to be a lot of people think that you may have to be an actual resident here, but you do not have to be a resident here in the country to register at the hospital. So to make sure that that is clear. And then he also is adding, once you have your FMP authorization letter with the list of your covered disabilities, you can register with the hospital. And I think that that's kind of what you were alluding to. And then another quick comment that Mike is making, for Medicare Advantage, we would need a copy of your Medicare Advantage card, so the physical card. So for those of you guys who are traveling, that might be something that you put in your your travel bag, so that you can know if you're going to be in country, even if it's just for a vacation, bring all your stuff, because you may be able to take advantage of some opportunities to kind of swing by the hospital and register for this, that, and the third, even though you're just here on vacation. You hadn't really kind of planned it that way, but the opportunity presented itself. Sheri, you got something?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, real quick, and we're going to get ready to wrap this up. Mike, do me a favor, put it in the chat. How you doing on time? I was trying to type that up, but I ain't quick with the things. I'm the two-finger bandit over here. Let me know in the chat, Mike, how are you doing on time? I know you've been in meetings all day, and I just want to make sure that we're respectful while you're here. T-Mac had another question. Love it and thank you. I am a service-connected veteran. Awesome sauce. We absolutely love it. Appreciate you, T-Mac. Guys, is this adding value to you, by the way? There's quite a few of you guys that are in the community. You've not chimed in for whatever reason. If this is adding crazy value to you, if this just is making sense, put yes in the chat. Just put a yes in the chat. I want to get a string of yeses going. We're going to get ready to wrap it up here in a few, but I just want to make sure that if you have any other questions, maybe some concerns, you need to get connected. Again, we're not professionals. We don't do this for a living, but we are experiencing it on a day-to-day. And so therefore our goal is to just share the knowledge that we have. Come on back.
Yeah, Mike, if you could go ahead and post those links real quick in the chat to the VA website, and also where to register for the FMP, and you can also text it to me and I'll add it in the notes, in the comments for the video when I go back and put the comments in, so that people have access to that. And registered stated that it should take 90. Yeah, it can take up to 90 days to receive. Sometimes it doesn't take that long, depending on FMP, how long, how they're doing. But I would say go ahead and submit your request as soon as possible, so that you can get your letter for your FMP, so that you get that back as soon as possible, so that you have it when you come here. And also, like I said, even if you're not coming to country, like Mike said, you don't have to be a resident of Panama to utilize these things, but you can get registered without being a resident. Even I would say you can get registered, at least get your documentation verified without you even being in country. If you're comfortable using WhatsApp, we can provide Mike's WhatsApp information. You can send him a copy of it and he can verify everything for you that way. That way, when you do come to Panama, you can then go to the hospital and actually be physically registered, but you already know that you have what it is that you need to be registered.
So guys, our goal, y'all, so that y'all are clear, is to make sure that you are prepared before you need to be prepared. Listen to me. If you get ready, and if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And a lot of times people take for granted, because maybe you're a traveler, right? Maybe traveling ain't an issue for you. You've come and gone. Unless you've been to Panama recently, like you may want to Panama. And I want to add this. Panama is not one of those cities and around the world as metropolitan, as cosmopolitan as Panama City is. You're not going to find a ton of information about the day-to-day, because Panama doesn't have this sprawling tourism sort of sector, if you will, because that's not the way that they generate revenue for the country. It's not on the priority list to make sure tourists are very clear and that sort of stuff. A lot of times people will go to Instagram and TikTok and get information on restaurants only to get here and find out the restaurant went out of business 2 weeks ago. A month ago. We live here, y'all, and we will sometimes look at a YouTube something or whatever. That place ain't been there since Jesus was a baby. Are you kidding me?
Boarded up,
so listen.
Grass and growing all on top of it.
Listen. So I want y'all to know that, Panama's got some growing to do to be able to get up to speed on the latest of everything. So whenever you, and I see you, babe, whenever you are connected to communities like ours, we're going to keep you updated, and it's kind of easy to do because we live here. Come on, babe.
And so first I want to thank you guys for taking the time to join us today. Thank you guys, those of you that are day ones. Thank you for being day ones. If you'd like to learn more information about how to become a day one member, please check the description. of the video, I'll update that so that you'll have that information. You can click to join. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you can get notifications when we do go live. And also, I wanted to answer one last question. I noticed a few people said, when you come to Panama, you would love to meet us. Every first Saturday of the month, every first Saturday, not June 1st, July 1st, whatever that first Saturday of every month, we actually do a meetup. We do a gospel brunch at Mika's Cafe in San Francisco here in Panama City, which is a great opportunity for you to come out. You get to meet us. You get to meet other expats, meet other people in our community. That's where you'll be able to meet us live and in person. So if you're coming to Panama, plan your trip around the first Saturday of the month so that you can come out and come meet us on that Saturday, and that's usually from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Every first Saturday.
Why am I thinking about the song? It's the first of the month. Get up.
Not the first. That's in day. Not as day one, the first Saturday of every month.
So, as an example, tomorrow is April 5th. It is the first Saturday
of April.
The reason why we're belaboring this, y'all cannot imagine how many comments we get, DMs, emails, and our team is worn out. I'm
February
gonna be here
18th,
on the
and y'all
12th,
wasn't there on the Saturday.
we went by Mika's, and y'all wasn't there. It's not the first Saturday.
Help me!
Listen.
Help me, God.
Read.
Help me!
Pay attention.
Help.
At the end of the day, here's what I can promise you. Every last one of us, you're not going to get to any place of significance by yourself, guys. We absolutely all need some help. Thank you, T. Appreciate you for being a part of our day one community. Thank you so much, Keith, for what you shared in terms of, us adding crazy value. Y'all, somebody did this for us. And just so that y'all know a quick backstory, Mike was the person that we built community with his community long before we ever moved here. And so we've been a fan of his. He's become family. So even though his journey has evolved, we have stayed in connection with him and in touch with him. I see you, babe. In touch with him, and we've been able to grow with him and him with us. And so that's why we're always going to position him in anything he's got happening that can benefit y'all. We're going to bring him to the table. But that's what it looks like to create community long before you need it.
Right, and special shout out again to our day ones, to Fab and Good Vibes. Thank you for being a day one. Rose, thank you for being a day one. T McBride, T Mac, thank you for being a day one. And we invite you all to join us and become a day one, to become a part of our tribe. And we just want to thank you all for subscribing, and we appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Hey guys, listen, we out of here next week. And that's the last thing I want to say. If there's anything content-wise that you guys want to see, want to hear from us, let us know in the comments, things you want to know more of, because the last thing we want to do is to spend our energy creating content that you don't want to see. Let me tell you, there's a ton of things that we can show you. There's a lot of things to see and do. This is a really, really interactive country. We're not trying to post stuff just to be posted. I'd rather skip a week than just throw something up there just because it felt good to me. So if there's anything, especially our day ones, if y'all can go over to the WhatsApp chat and let us know, how is this resonating with you? What are some things that you'd like to see? We'd like to get your feedback.
Also, day ones, I need you guys to check in the day one feed. There are videos, there's links, there's things for you guys to complete, for you guys to send us, so that I can get that link to you to that day one group chat. And so please make sure you go back, look through that stuff, fill out the information so that we can get you in that group chat.
Y'all, we trying. We trying. Y'all
YouTube don't make it easy for
y'all
me to
need
get
to
your
help
emails
us.
And all of that. So we had to do some workarounds. So get
Say that again, babe.
YouTube does not make it that easy for me to get your email, so I had to create some workarounds. So I need you to go back and look at those members only videos, and there's information in there for you for my day ones, so that you can become a part of that chat.
All right, is that it?
That's it.
Because we got some things to do this afternoon.
Yes, we got stuff to do.
Y'all be good. We'll see y'all. T said okay. So as long as T is good, we good. Yeah, y'all be good. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye, guys.